to be here with you. Hi guys, how y'all doing? Welcome to Annou Koze. Welcome. It's a joy. good evening, guys. Welcome to Annou Koze. I need to apologize. I know sometimes we do have to do that. We do have to apologize. But for our late start this evening, I sincerely apologize. Initially, we had some persons nearby having, some kind of gathering, so the music was really loud, so we were pushing back a bit to get started. And then when we were ready to get started, our mic had other ideas. But we're here and we're ready. And I just really want to say good evening to our wonderful queens and kings, of course. So, Sharon, good evening to you. Doris, good evening to you. Cynthia Dollar Butcher, good evening to you. Elizabeth Fede, welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us. Guys, we really just want to take some time to say thank you. As always, we appreciate the love, we appreciate the support, we appreciate you carving out some time to spend with us here on Annou Koze. So, thank you so much for being with us. Last week, we had a really, really fantastic discussion about sex. And there were so many areas that we still have to cover. So we'll definitely be continuing along that vein as the program goes along. But let's just take a few moments to acknowledge last weekend we had it was a violent weekend. We had two persons losing their lives in Boaden, and then we had two persons in Dennery, less than 24 hours from each other. So it really was a heart wrenching weekend. One of the persons from Boaden is actually a cousin to a close friend of mine. So we're really extending condolences to the family. Of course, because both in Dennery and in Boaden. Of course, because it is politically charged time, and the whole area is rife with chats. So everything gets tied in to the various political parties. Crime is politicized as well. So it's a case of, okay, when Kenny was there, crime was high. Now it's a case of, okay, Shasne is responsible for crime. Realistically, you kind of yeah, we stealth here. Realistically, you kind of recognize that crime, more than anything else, has its roots in social issues, and it's very important to find out why what is happening, rather than the blame game. So, because if you don't treat the problem as its source, then it's just going to continue to manifest. You kind of have to ask what is happening. And persons usually say, okay, I think that was the same day. Yeah, that was the same day there was a national day of prayer. And, I'm all for, persons making, various pleas to their respective belief system. But I also think a lot of the time we are busy treating the symptoms and not the disease. A lot of the time the conversations are too uncomfortable for us to have, so we ignore them. A lot of the times we don't want to focus on the fact that if we dig deep, sometimes the fingers point back to us. When I say us, I mean us as a society, because whatever comes out of the society is what the society breeds. And nobody wants to take individual, far less collective responsibility for the crimes and for the stuff that is not favorable in our society. We are happy when our society has bred a Nobel laureate or a doctor or a lawyer, but we tend to not want to take any sort of responsibility when it breeds the criminals as well, same society. So that's one of the things I think that we more attention needs to be focused on. The fact that wait, we have calls already. The fact that there's so much happening on the ground. There's so many issues that we're not delving into, and that's one of the things we want to do with Annou Koze. Just let's have the conversations. Let's have the conversations that are not always comfortable, but let's do it in a setting where we can laugh and we can speak and we can learn something. Because oftentimes things are easier to absorb if you use humor as a means to get a message across. Or if you just use a nice calm setting as opposed to a blame game, it makes it easier for people to kind of listen. Because they are conversations that we have to have, because it affects us, it impacts us. So we at GVD really want to take the opportunity to express, our condolences to the families of those who had been slain over the course of the weekend. And I mean, it's sad. Oh, excuse me. It's sad that persons are just so blatant. But then if we recognize, 'cause I think there was a drug bust in Dennery like a day or two prior to the incident, the crimes are becoming more and more blatant. And there is a saying that goes, as a society evolves, so does its crime. Its crime is supposed to become more sophisticated as the society grows. So you expect that as you improve healthcare, education, finance, food, etc., as you improve on your society, it's going to reflect on your crime. So the type of crimes that you have, as ironic as it may sound, says a lot about the kind of society that you have. Because if your society becomes more educated, more elevated, you're gonna you expect to see more blue collar crime, more fraud, more this, more that, more cyber, that kind of thing, and less violent crime. So you have, not that you won't have them, but you guys get what I'm saying. It evolves as your society evolves. So if your crimes are very base level, damaging, inflicting as much hurt as quickly as possible, and as in the most detrimental way, then it says a lot about the way that we are evolving as a society. Okay, and oh, sorry, just give me a minute. The light. So you guys, I really want to just take a moment. Let me just say hi. So we had the Sharon and Cynthia and Doris. You guys made some really, really epic contributions last week. And we were discussing the link between emotional support and erectile dysfunction. We were discussing sex, the different aspects of sex, not the simple, okay, I have this and you have this, and we were going a little more in depth than that. And so tonight we are, of course, going to be continuing. And sorry, yeah, so we are going to be continuing. Now, one of the things that persons had mentioned, because we got some calls from you guys after the show was done. Persons who watched the repeat ended up calling because they thought the show was still ongoing. And there was, of course, the fact that persons felt that not enough had been said about women and their impact. And we'll get to that, because like we were saying, you cannot deal with everything at once. But before we continue, I think it's important for us to just, touch base on where we were. So we were talking about the fact that oftentimes we as women have significant others. We have husbands, boyfriends, friend with benefits, friend no benefits, benefit no friend, whatever. And there's a lack of appreciation. We spoke about the fact that oftentimes the way that we respond, we do not feel it necessary to show the adequate affection towards our men. This is your man, not mine. This is your man that you've chosen to be with. Yet still the simple things that we slack off on, the simple things we don't pay attention to, the requirements that we have financially and otherwise. Yet we believe that, and of course this is a general statement, it's not specific to any particular person, but too often we believe that our sole purpose as the woman is to be there, to cook and clean and do the necessaries. And then we have the issues of men on the outside. Then we touch based on side chick, which is a phrase that I don't believe in. I don't think there's any such thing as a side chick. But this is me personally. I think it's just a label women created to separate, separate women, make everything layered so they can feel more important than another. I think it's more about the connection between two individuals. It would be too too egalitarian. It would be too equal to say he has two women and me and her. That would be too equal. So automatically we're going to create division. I'm the wife, and you're the side. You know, but that's just my view. I think it's something that we as women created to create more division. I think the week before we'd had the topic of whether we were our own worst enemy as women, our women's worst enemy, because of the way that we treat each other, because of the harsh judgments we give to each other. We're so hard on each other. Yeah, we really do. So that has been the line of Annou Koze for the last couple of weeks. And so today, of course, we're going to discuss the female sex drive. And even when we spoke about erectile dysfunction and the link to psychology and the link to sex and the link to emotional, you know, absence and the link to insults as opposed to medical, something being wrong medically. So basically, we're saying sometimes a man is impotent or a man is having erectile dysfunction. You do have your medical reasons, but you do also have over 40% of it being, stress, home environment, work, feeling emasculated, etc., etc. So likewise, we're going to touch. We're going to touch on women. And the female sex drive is very, very complex. It's really, really complex. And as we go through so much in our lives as women, it changes. And I don't think there's a deep enough appreciation for that by us women and by the men that we interact with. And, it constantly evolves. So your sex drive when you're in your teens is going to be different from your sex drive after you've had a child, after you've had two, just after, as opposed to say a year or two into it. It's going to be different when you're pregnant, that kind of thing. And guys, I'm going to tell you a secret. This is for the men, so you can lean in a little closer, and you can take that to the bank. Every woman, every woman is a freak. Every woman is a freak. Now, the unleashing of said freakiness is an entirely different story. But every woman is a freak. Yes. So, are you guys hearing me? Okay. Yes. Sorry about that. I'm not sure how much you heard. So we were saying that the female sex drive is very complex. It changes. Menopause, it changes with pregnancy, it changes with. All right, so guys, we're going to take a short break and we're going to get back into this. My mic seems to be having a little issue. So stay with us. This is Annou Koze. We are discussing female sexual health. See you guys in a bit.
PAX is the agent for Caribbean Line, which offers an effective alternative for global integrative of transport logistics from Sheerness, UK to Vieux-Fort St. Lucia in shipping, documentation, administrative procedure, loading and unloading operations. We also offer courier, small package service, customs brokerage, ship agency, freight forwarder, consolidator, and accounting services. Visit them today on New Dock Road, Vieux-Fort, or call 454-1200 or 7198837. PAX is effective, efficient, and reliable.
Real estate transactions are now made easy. Whether buying, selling, or renting residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, or touristic property, we offer the best deals in real estate transactions with professional support, including valuation, material sourcing, and construction. Contact Ed Harris and Associates, your courteous and efficient real estate agents. Call 485-1456 or email caribbiz@gmail.com.
Do you need to copy or print your document? Are you in need of insurance? Are you looking for office stationery? Stop. Yes, LMP Services on Clark Lane, Vieux-Fort has all the services you need. They open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Or call 454-8757 or 721-8757 for affordable rates, reliable and effective customer service with a difference.
Hey guys, thank you so much for staying with us. We do apologize for the issue. I'm trusting that we are back and everything is ooh, sorry. Everything is back to normal. Please let us know if you are hearing us clearly, and so we can move forward. So I'm going to wait for you guys to indicate on the page whether or not you're hearing. All right. Okay. So thank you so much for staying with us. So we were discussing sexual health. We were discussing the female sex drive. Last time we were talking about erectile dysfunction. We were discussing the link between the emotional aspect and how important it is, and the role that we as women play in the lives of our men and in our own sex life. And we had some really beautiful comments with regards to keeping things entertaining and keeping things interesting and keeping things spicy. And since I'm on that topic, I do need to say, and this one is for the men, this is a message for the men. You can take this to the bank. Every woman is a freak. Every woman. Now, the ability to release that in a freak is an entirely different story, but it is buried in all of us. Okay? Now, a lot of the times we go through various stages in our life. It is said that men are like the sun, you know, steady, straight, you know, constant, whereas women are more lunar. One time we full moon, one time we half moon, one time there's no moon, one time we this crescent. You know, we fluctuate between our moods. And oh yes, Sharon, I know. And we fluctuate between our moods, and as a result, it's something that you have to be able to adapt to. Now, of course, as you go through various stages in life, whether it be puberty, whether it be pregnancy, things will change. You expect there to be dips and, you know, highs and lows where your sex life is concerned, where your sex drive is concerned as a woman. But guys, I will tell you something. It is heavily dependent on you, how soon and how fully your mate recovers from that. Now we're all grown here. Right? Annou Koze is not a show for primary school children. So we're gonna cause, we're gonna talk. So a lot of the times the act, and we were discussing that last week, we were saying that the whole aspect of sex is to be mutually pleasurable. That's why sex is there. So both persons can derive pleasure from it. It was not there as a bargaining chip for money. That was not the purpose of sex. Regardless of what we have twisted it now, regardless of what we using it as now. The purpose of sex was for pleasure. Don't tell me about procreation, because we all know we ain't getting pregnant every time you have sex. Okay, I think it's us, dolphins, and whichever animals that have sex for pleasure. So that is a byproduct, but that is not the purpose. You understand? Because if you have 3 children and you've been married for 15 years, you're trying to tell me you had sex 3 times? So what were the other times for? Practice? So ideally, that is the purpose of sex. But we have been conditioned heavily in our society that sex, and I'm happy we're kind of getting away from that, but sex is heavily based on the man. When he wants it, if he wants it. And especially the women who are older than myself. There are the exceptions, of course, but those who are older, our grandparents, the mindset was that sex was more something that was duty, something that was just, okay, he provides, he protects, you watch your children, you have, that was generally how it was balanced. Too many of our grandparents didn't even know the joy and the beauty of an orgasm. That's just sad. But nevertheless. And I think one of the things too is that for women, because men are very visual, and you can ask any man, you can ask any man, men are very visual. Men are it's based on what they see and touch and feel and that kind of thing. Women are very audible. Women are mentally stimulated first. And again, we're operating along the lines of sex as a beautiful, sacred, wonderful, powerful thing. We're not talking about, an exchange for money. We're not on that level. That's not what we're discussing. So, women are mentally stimulated. And any woman will say that to you. So, oftentimes, we have, and I guess it's a lack of education, but oftentimes there is a tendency for our men to treat our sex life like a switch, to treat their women like a switch. So it becomes a case of, if I come in as a man and I'm interested in getting it on with you, then it ought to be something as simple as I touch you a particular place, or I kiss you a particular place, or I look at you a particular way, or maybe not even that. But women are mental, and women are stimulated by what they hear, what they're told, what pictures are created in their mind as a result. Women are, and Sharon said it beautifully last time. She said, men are kind of microwave, while a woman is like a rice cooker, slow to boil. So the women take a little more work, and hence the reason I'm saying every woman is a freak. But you have to be willing to put in the work to discover the freak. It's buried in there, I promise. But you have to be willing to put in the work. So a lot of the times, it is treated as something functional. It is treated as something where the man gets his release and the woman goes about her business. If she's lucky, maybe she gets 10, 15 minutes, if she's lucky. you do have now, and again, I'm speaking to older persons, you do have now the young guys who will say to you, all right, they want to ensure that, their woman is pleasured before them, which is fantastic. But generally speaking, it is heavily focused on him. I once heard a lady, I was in a conversation with 3 women, and I heard this young, she's relatively young, lady say that she's married, and she said that, her husband would want sex frequently. She loves her husband, but she's, not really into that so much. And she literally said that she gets upset when the sun goes down and the moon comes up, because it means, she has to have sex. And the thing that was baffling for me was, wait, why'd you get married? Because you're basically signing a contract to have bad sex for as long as the situation lasts. And like we were establishing last Sunday, while sex may not be the most important aspect in a relationship, it's an important aspect in the relationship. So, and I remember hearing that, and I'm like, but wait. So why did you, so at the end of the day, sometimes we have the idea in our heads, we have the timelines in our head, we should be married by that time, we should be. So we will accept whatever is going to meet the needs or meet the agenda or the criteria that we have set for ourselves as women. Excuse me. Now, I was saying women are slow to boil, slow to cook. So men, it requires time, attention, and finesse. If you, as a man, have 3 or 4 or 5 women that you're dating, that you're seeing, and that you're sleeping with, and I say this with all due love and respect, you have 5 women that you have not taken the time to know. There's the time and the effort and the energy that it takes. There's no way you're doing it with 5 women. I'm not questioning your virility or your sex skills. I'm not questioning whether you are getting off. I don't know if they are. But hey, that's just because it's different. Every individual and everybody is different. And since we're on the topic, guys, if you are dating a woman, I'm just reading some of the comments. I like Sharon. If you are seeing a woman, if you're married to a woman, whatever the case may be, and the relationship is constantly under stress, there's insults, there's disrespect, the relationship has changed. So when y'all started dating, and you hear that a lot from guys, when y'all started dating, you had on the counter, on the cupboard, on the table, the door frame next to the bathroom. This was what your sex life was like. 2 to 3 years into the relationship, and it's often the men that say that everything changed. And now a month goes by, 2 months go by, 3 months go by, and, barely anything happening. And if it is happening, it doesn't have the quality and the intensity of the sex before. So you kind of have to ask yourself why. Because if this woman was genuine with you from day one, if this was not a case of a me too, where, I put on my best show to get you, and I put on the best performance to get you, and now that I've gotten you, I step back. If this was not what it was, and it was a case of authentically caring about each other and growing your relationship, then what happened? What happened? Because oftentimes some damage has been done. And whether it be emotional, whether it be mental, whether it be financial, whether it be sexual, And it's going to show up. If your woman now responds to you differently, men, something happened. And again, we're talking about authentic stuff here. So if you are, because there is a tendency to speak down. So if you are the person who, because no person has an issue, I wouldn't say no. Let me retract that. The vast majority of persons who are mature will not have an issue with being corrected. The issue oftentimes is how it is done. The condescending tones, the making you feel stupid, the making you feel belittled, the way that you speak to your wife or your girlfriend or your whatever you want to call her, in that superior kind of way that makes her feel less, makes her fearful to express herself, to give an opinion because you are quick to shut it down. I guarantee you that is going to show up in your bedroom. Because the same person who you do not give an avenue to express something as simple as, what y'all should do about a particular color or particular thing in the house, you ought not to be surprised if she cannot express what it is she wants in the bedroom. One, if she has attempted to express to you something that she is interested in, and you make it seem like she's unreasonable, what she mean, or you just bypass it and ignore it, it is going to show up in your bedroom. If you are seeing other persons and your wife or your partner knows about it, and you guys have spoken about it and it's pretty obvious, it is going to show up in your bedroom. If you are physically or emotionally abusive to your wife, to your girlfriend, it is going to show up in your bedroom. If you are narcissistic, if you always want, if you're a take, if you take more than you give, if you leave people feeling depleted, it is going to show up in your bedroom. So early on in the relationship, when these traits had not shown up, early on in the relationship, when these things were not so apparent, and the sex was all over the place, it is going to show up. Because that's the way that we women are. We are women. That's what we are. We're governed by our womb. Anything that is happening in your life, it is directly, you're going to feel it in your womb. So it's going to affect your period, it's going to affect your sex drive, it's going to affect your libido, you are emotionally hurting, but you want me to what? Spread them and bend down. So it is going to show up. It will. So for the men, you need to take time. You need to take energy. You need to spend and we're not even talking about money. Women, people often say women are difficult, and women are not, We're not difficult. We just require work and consistency, compliments, chats, play with her head. If you can get into her head, well, the work is already 3/4 way done for you. So some of these things would affect your sex drive. So when you have a case of, you look at your partner and you say, but what happened to you? Lately, I feel like you're just not interested, you're just not who you were. Yeah, but then backtrack. It's not that easy to switch off for women. Did she lose her job? How have you been treating her? How has the relationship been? What is going on with her? Are her parents ill? What is going on? Are you providing any kind of support for any of these things she's going through? Or is it just a case of suck it up and move on? So she says to you, or she comes to you about something that is happening in her life. Do you even listen, or do you make her feel like she's a burden to you? Because again, sex is a mutually beneficial thing. It's something where you give yourself to someone, and you in return accept this person's self being given to you. So how can I give myself to you when you do not create a safe space to do so? And guys, this is on you. You do not create a safe space to do so. If your mate, your woman, your wife, your partner, comes out of the bathroom and you make any negative comment about her body, guess where that shows up the next time y'all are having sex? If you criticize her in that regard, or you do it among your friends, or you belittle her in any way, guess where that shows up the next time you're having sex? And it stays there. Because if you are not the person who's going to build up, if you are not the person who's going to elevate, if you're not the person who's going to create that environment for your mate to be so comfortable with you that they, put the curtains down and rock around the house naked, why are you there? And last week we were dealing with the men. And it's something that happens so often. It's something that happens, it's almost subconscious. We express criticism as a greeting. You say to your partner, "Gasan, you real put on weight, Missy, Gasan, real big," and then the same big put on weight person, when the sun goes down, but how, my brother? How? You call her lazy, you call her all sorts of names, you insult her, you hang up on her, but when you come home and you take off your shoes and then Willie's ready to party, then she's supposed to what? Put that where? Put that in the back of her mind and then show up as famala freak for you. At the end of the day, there needs to be, if whatever it is that you want, because we were saying that last week as well, the grass is greenest where you water it. And generally, and I admire the relationships that have that level of freakiness in it, or as far as I'm concerned, balance and nature. But a lot of the times, relationships are entered into and they are cemented out of fear, out of need, out of longevity, out of longevity, because you guys have been together a while. So you decide to get married because you're scared to be alone. Because, oh my God, who will marry you? Because, okay, she's been by me through a lot of stuff. She's a good woman. She put up with all my crap. So I'm going to marry her. So when that is the basis of the relationship, who you are, because you are a sexual being. You are. You're not a human being who happened to stumble across sex. When you're sexual, everybody you see is just walking sex. Everybody. Because everybody that you see is here as a result of sex. We are sexual beings. We cannot come into this realm, into this world, without the benefit of sex. Period. So as much as you look at all the insemination, but the natural spiritual process of coming into this world, into this realm, the sex. We're sexual beings. And yet we deny our nature because we're told that it is something that's supposed to be negative. And so we attach so much negative connotation to it. So if you're if you're a good girl, so you're not supposed to do that. Hey, listen, find somebody and be bad with them. Be selectively bad, but be bad. But for the men, so the women's relationship, the women's sex drive has so much to do with what is going on around her. Similar to the man, but the woman is so much more complex because it's estrogen, it's progesterone, it's hormones out of balance, it's yeast infections, it's PID, and that's just the physical aspect. It's the emotional aspect. So when Sharon says you have to keep your relationship spicy and respectful, trust, caring, sharing, and always remember your husband is your best friend. And and I agree with her, when you look at when you were younger, and you got into a relationship. And the idea of romance was he buy you flowers and take you to dinner and buy you chocolate on Valentine's, and that was romance. But when you get older and you probably settle with someone, I hate that word settle, you're living with someone and you have children or you have a life, whatever the case may be, romance changes. Flowers are awesome, but romance changes. So if, for example, she's the sole person responsible for their housework, and you come home with a bouquet of flowers, but she's still, after you put it in the vase, after you organize it there, she still has to wash, cook, clean, organize, take care of the children, and then ready herself for bed with you while you sit there. Romance changes. So being romantic now means anything that makes her life easier. Wash the dishes, and don't call it you helping out with the choice. You live there. Wash the clothes. Give her a back rub. Give her a foot rub. Usually the back rub will work wonders, by the way. But the romance supposed to change. You adjust accordingly. So the level of time and affection and attention that is missing from so many relationships, because it's a drudgery, because it is something that you have to endure. When people tell you that, you ask persons about marriage, whether it be a pastor, a priest, a counselor, you know, persons who've been married for a while, and you ask them about marriage, and 90% of the time, it starts off with, well, marriage is about compromise, and marriage is about sacrifice, and marriage is about, and most of it falls along the lines of, I am yet to hear somebody say marriage is about love and fun and get to know each other and awesome sex and new experiences. You know, if you sell in something, man, you know, sell the damn thing. But most times it sounds like something that you are supposed to do, that you're supposed to endure until it comes to its inevitable end, whether he, you know, exits or you exit or person dies or whatever. But it too often times it is sold as this, relationships on the whole is sold as this thing that you just, yeah, you want something else, you want something better, but that's what you have, so you're going to try to make it work. Or generally, as opposed to, like give me one reason a relationship cannot be built around sex, learning, growing, expanding. Why? Chris Rock says it nicely. He says a relationship should be about sex and traveling, just coming and going. But like one reason, life is already so challenging. I'm of the view, and call it naivete if you want, I don't think at this stage in my life, having gone through several relationships and everything else, that it's naivete. But I'm of the view that if you're going to decide to spend a significant amount of time with somebody and call them your whatever, the least you should be doing is having some fun. You know, the least you should be doing is you know, pointing your toes to the ceiling so often. The least you should be doing is glowing. The least you should be doing is walking with a little pep in your step, you know. That's the least, you know. So, all right, now, guys, we're going to take your calls. We're going to touch on some herbs, though, that the men and women can use for sex drive, but we're going to take your calls in a bit. So let's take a break. This is Annou Koze. We're discussing sex and sex drives.
The Parts located on the Labrie-Vifford Highway is your place for auto parts. We have suspension parts, mounts, brakes, shocks, and so much more.
We specialize in accessories like mats, batteries, horns, lubricants, and much more.
We're open from Mondays to Saturdays from 8 to 5 and Sundays on most holidays from 8 to 1.
L'on prie, en est-ce qu'on va découvrir.
What do you need to transport? Call the hauler. At M&E's Trucking, we offer a wide range of services island-wide. From containerized movement, flatbed service, and lowboy transfers. We're located at Beanfield View Fort. Our skillful professional drivers are ready to serve you. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram or email us at vibration711@gmail.com. Call us at 488-1000. We're ready to serve you. M&D's Trucking Service, a powerhouse ready to haul.